So I think that we need to start evolving our whole concept of money, because if we go back way before money even was a thing, how did we exchange value? We exchanged value by offering and sharing our services and the products and produce that one created, and it was bargaining, it was bartering rather. And so it was really about, I'll give you this because I have too many potatoes and you're a baker, so in exchange you give me some loaves of bread, or whatever the case may have been. But it was a bartering and it was an exchange of value. And so really money came into being as a way of sort of standardizing how we measure value. But what we seem to have forgotten is that fundamentally it is about an exchange of value. So money just is a representation of an exchange of energy. We put energy into our careers, into our vocations. We put energy into building products, services, offering services, whatever it is. There's energy that we invest in that. And so money is just a representation of the amount of energy that we've invested. Now, if we go back to the days of bartering, if I had too many potatoes, but I didn't have any bread, and you had too much bread and didn't have any potatoes, well, what would happen if we just hung on to it? What would happen if I said, no, I'm going to hang on to my potatoes because I may need them tomorrow, and you said the same? Well, the potatoes and the bread would rot or go off or go stale, and it would be wasted. And so apart from each person needing what other people produced, it was also a way of preventing waste and avoiding stagnation, avoiding rotting and things going off. But when we introduced money, well, money doesn't go off. And so we started to adopt this idea of hoarding, of accumulating a lot of money and hoarding it, storing it away. But let's go back to what I said earlier. Money is just energy. Money is an energy. And it is really about flow, not about hoarding. If you even look at some of the words we use in and around money, currency comes from the root word current, which means flow. Even the word affluence, which we attribute to somebody who has a lot of wealth, actually comes from the word which means to flow into. And so it's all really about flow. If you think of an electrical circuit, current needs to flow. The moment we break the circuit, the current stops. And so what happens when we start to hoard money and we take that idea of storing it away for a rainy day, is that we place our sense of certainty. So we've got to come back to the psychology of this. Our sense of certainty then is being placed in how much money I have stored away for a rainy day. And if I don't have too much money stored away for a rainy day, then I feel really, really uncertain. And then what it does is it starts to threaten your sense of survival, because money comes right back, takes us right back down into our basic survival needs. Now, how many people, when they're operating out of survival, are operating at optimum, at their optimum? How many people, when they're operating out of survival, are able to be really creative and flow from an inspired place? You can't. You can't, because you've taken the vibration of your energy right back down to basic survival needs. And that's where we see ourselves starting to sabotage ourselves. That's where we start to behave. We see the archetypes, the child coming out, where we start to kind of go, well, I do this, so I deserve that. And we see the victim mindset coming out. Look what's happening to me. We see the saboteur, where doubt starts to creep in, and we start to second guess ourselves. And then we see the prostitute archetype, where we start to sell ourselves out. We start to do things that we wouldn't normally do. We start to offer our services for much less than we would normally charge, or what the services are worth, etc. And so we really start operating out of a very, very limited space. And that's because we have, first of all, we have connected our primary sense of certainty, or no, maybe not our primary sense of certainty, but certainly our certainty, an aspect of our certainties has been connected to how much money do I have stored away. And so now what happens is we get caught into this roller coaster of when I feel like I've got a lot stored away, then cool, then I'm in a good space. And when I don't have a lot stored away, then I'm really pulled right back into survival mode. So you see, if I was a butcher and I didn't trade and barter my meat, my surplus meat, but I kept it for myself, all right, back in the days where there were no fridges, what would happen? It would rot. And so that rotting meat then contaminates everything. Now what's different with money. You store that money away, what you end up with is stagnation, because that energy can't move. It becomes stagnant, and it starts to contaminate areas of our lives. So what we need to start adopting is we need to start shifting our sense of certainty from how much money do we have stashed away to the knowing that life will provide for our needs. And it's a challenging one, this, because everything in our society has been built around the idea of storing away money for a rainy day. Think about retirement, think about all of these things. And I'm not saying don't do that, it's your path. But again, coming back, where's our sense of certainty? And when we start to relax into the knowing that everything that we need on our journey, it may not be what you want always, but it will always be what you need. Everything that we need on our journey will be provided for us when we start to relax into that knowing. And that's got to be the key. It can't be out of a state of fear. If we're in a state of fear and we're going, oh, where's the money going to come from? Right, what's that doing is it's pulling our energy right back down again to survival. It's got to be out of an elevated level of consciousness where we are in a state of knowing that it will be there. And when we're in the state of knowing that it will be there, absolute faith that it will be there, the right things show up at the right time as and when we need them. And so this is really flow. It's getting out of the mindset of trying to hold on to stuff and store stuff away, because you got to ask yourself, why are you storing stuff away? What's behind that behavior? And what you'll find is that what's behind the behavior is fear. What if I don't have enough? What if I have nothing? So where's that coming from? Okay, that's coming from back down into that survival state. That's the saboteur coming into play, throwing in the doubts. All right, can we take an expansive mindset? How can I elevate above this? How can I stop even thinking about money and rather thinking about the expression of your gifts, your strengths, your purpose, your inspiration? How can you express more of that and give more of that into the world and forget about the money? The money will take care of itself, because what you're doing is you are you are contributing value, and therefore value must flow back to you.